As Obi-Wan Kenobi once said, hello there, and welcome to ForceCenter Presents Figure Fights, a show where we ask the very important question: which Star Wars character would win in a fight, but not the actual character, a specific action figure of that character. This is a very serious show, and I'm Joseph Scrimshaw.
And I'm Ken Knapsack.
And I'm Jennifer Landa.
And as you can see by watching the screen, we have two amazing guests with us from Star Wars Explained, Mollie and Alex Damon. Welcome to you both. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
Thanks so much for having us.
You're going to be here for a couple episodes. This is going to be great. From our perspective, we get to spend the afternoon with you, but from the perspective of YouTube viewers, they get to spend like 2 months with you probably by the time we release all these episodes. 2 months of us not changing our shirts. It's going to be wonderful. Before we get into the figure fights, I think I kind of have an understanding, from watching you guys and from being friends with Alex and Mollie, but I am curious to get a little bit of centering on your relationship with action figures. So, Alex, I want to start with you. Did you collect a lot as a kid? Are you still collecting now? Where do you land with Star Wars figures?
I collected a ton as a kid. I went to Toys R Us's. I came in the mid-'90s. That's when I joined the Star Wars fandom. So the Power of the Force line, first with the orange cards and then the green cards. I was there for like a lot of that rollout. I remember Rebel pilot Luke Skywalker was the first action figure I ever chose and bought. I think 3PO and Boba Fett were soon to follow. But I had so much fun collecting. I'm sure my parents had less fun, but they were very enthusiastic about helping me. They would take me to Walmart. They would go out. They knew which ones were hard to find. So if they stumbled across one, they would grab it for me. So I had hundreds of them growing up. At a certain point, I was going off to college and I was like, I don't need all these action figures anymore. And I passed them along to some family friends. And so they had them for a while. And then as I got back into Star Wars, especially after the Disney acquisition, I was like, kind of wish I still had those. And my parents then helped again and went to the family friends and they were like, do you still have those? And they were like, yeah, they're in our attic. And they were like, can we have them back? And so for my birthday one year, they just got me all my action figures back.
That's amazing. Did they wrap them individually and re-gift them?
No, they just brought like a big sack into the restaurant and they were like, boom, here you go.
That's amazing.
It was a great gift. I really enjoyed that.
I'm going to cry. This a sack of action figures in a restaurant is just a dream come true to me. Mollie, what is your relationship to action figures and getting them in sacks in a public place?
I don't know that I've ever had that happen to me, but growing up, I didn't really collect a ton of action figures. I got some cool hand-me-downs from my sister. I remember like a set of Rainbow Bright figures that I got that came in a big rainbow case, and they all had yarn for hair. It was the best. I loved them so much. But yeah, my love for action figures, I think, started more when we started the channel. And then I had an excuse to just buy one after another and start this like insane Star Wars collection of figures. And you can kind of see my background. I have a lot of Funko Pops. I became obsessed with Funko Pops, I think because they're just so easily displayed. You know, they all come on a stand. Alex, when you got all your figures back, I remember trying to like set them up on a shelf, and I was like, none of these have stands. How are you supposed to display them? So, yeah.
I love when you picked up a Prince Shizor action figure from Shadows of the Empire, and she was like, oh, you got a Dragon Ball Z figure in here. No.
How'd this get in here?
They're accurate, yeah.
Accurate, sensitive topic, yes. Much debate. Well, that's great. So you're both still collecting now. You both feel passionate, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say that even Joseph and Ken, I think you have affected my collecting habits in a way that I still don't know how I feel about it. But I never left anything in the package as a kid. Even though my dad was like, you might want to consider, you opened it. Okay. So now I remember Ken would jokingly give me crap for taking stuff like Celebration exclusives out of the box. And now I when Cobb Vanth came out, I was like, I'll get 2 of them. I'll open one. I'll leave one in the box. So now I'm one of those people that I find that to be kind of annoying just for space reasons. But
I mean,
here we are.
our work
I
here is
understand.
done.
Yeah,
True
I
collector.
understand. I now have a pile of the packages from the few figures I have opened because I can't let go of the package once I've opened them. So I have some things to work through, and we're going to work through them today. We're going to take out the figures of the proverbial package, and we're going to play with them by making them fight. We are very excited to share the matchup today. Only Ken and I know the matchup. It's going to be a surprise to Jennifer, Alex, and Molly. So here we go. Our matchup for this episode of Figure Fights is original Kenner Cloud Car Pilot versus battle damaged Anakin Skywalker.
Oh my! What?
That's terrifying.
My, what is the perfect reaction?
Complete with smudged blue eyeshadow,
Yeah.
I think.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this not only did Kenobi mess him up, then he took him to a late night goth concert, according to this action figure.
Joseph, did you get this one at Celebration last year?
I did.
I
I
remember you
remember
talking
that.
about it, and I remember
I-
being freaked out by the eyes.
I was
Yeah.
so excited right
Oh
here.
my gosh!
Oh, that's beautiful. It almost looks like Alex Damon at Mosh Isley. Just the
Yeah.
eyeshadow.
Yeah, yeah.
It's wet. Yeah.
That's how I felt when I came back.
The lost
Yeah. Oh.
Wow.
All right. Well, let's
Hey.
let's work through our feelings. We'll have plenty of time to do so. But I first just want to talk about our own history and emotional reactions to these figures. So we will start with the Cloud Car Pilot. Ken, did you own the Cloud Car Pilot?
I did not. This was one of those original Kenner figures. I was mostly on board during the Return of the Jedi era. That's when I really started getting the figures. So this one kind of missed me. And, it has a little bit of that sad Lobot potential that it might have been left on the racks, but it never came to me. I never got to hold this glorious figure.
It is a beautiful one. Jennifer, you were of age to perhaps purchase the Cloud Car Pilot. Did you?
No, it was a little bit before my time as well, and it looks like it's something I would find at Gemco in the sale pile. Unfortunately,
Look at that guy.
anyone remember Gemco?
I do. I do.
Wrong coast for me. Jennifer, are you excited by this figure now? Is this a figure you're like, ooh, I need this one, or not so much?
It looks like it's missing some paint. It needs more paint. I want to customize it. It doesn't quite pop for me.
I would love to see your bedazzled Cloud Car Pilot. That would be amazing.
Me too.
Alex, how are you feeling about the Cloud Car Pilot? Is this in your collection?
It's not. And I have this flash of a memory, like maybe I saw it as a kid and was like, I don't think I need that one. Not that one specific, because that was before my time.
Mhm.
But I wonder if they even made a Power of the Force version of it. And I was like, oh, I'll get something else.
I think it seems that they might have. Maybe with Cloud Car, right?
Yeah,
Probably.
yeah. I
It
don't
seems
remember
like
off
they
the
would've.
top of my head because I feel like I would have bought that Cloud Car Pilot immediately from nostalgia. But Molly, are you dying to own this Cloud Car Pilot? How do you feel about the existence of it?
Well, I kind of feel like they should sell this one as 2 Cloud Car Pilots, because isn't there 2 in 1 Cloud Car? Like, he needs a friend. He's so lonely. He's not used to being all by himself.
He's like a twin.
This might come, I think, into our fight, the sheer loneliness of the Cloud Car Pilot. I did include this one because it is an important action figure to me. Longtime listeners to the podcast ForceCenter might know parts of this story. I can't remember if I got the Cloud Car Pilot because it was just one of the days where, Grandma took me to Kmart and was like, I don't know, pick one. And this was the option. But it's one of the figures that I loved making up a story because I didn't have any particular. The Cloud Cars were like cool. They were fine, but they weren't the most exciting part of Empire Strikes Back. So I made up a whole story for this guy, gave him a name. We tried not to play with Han Solo after Empire. And before Return of the Jedi, my brother and I, because he was frozen in carbonite, my brother made up rules to get Han out for, I don't know, good behavior. So this Cloud Car Pilot tried to have a romance with Leia, and Leia rejected him. So to me, the entire legacy of this character is loneliness.
Just standing alone in the galaxy. In yellow boots.
Oh,
And the hand is for a communicator, but it looks like he's ready to take a drink to bemoan his life.
It's empty. Yeah. Oh man.
Ken, can you put up the image of his actual card as well?
Yeah.
I love this too, because if we're talking loneliness, look at this picture. He looks like he's been put in a little sad detention box.
Crammed in there, yeah.
yeah.
His helmet's almost hitting the windows. They
Yeah.
can't even get a close up of him. It's just off in the distance.
His hand should be up on the window pane, just looking sad.
It's raining.
All right. Strong emotional reaction to Cloud Car Pilot. I bet there's an even stronger emotional reaction to Battle Damage Anakin Skywalker. So, Jennifer, you shouted out, "Oh my what?" I want to hear more. How do you feel about this guy? You own him?
No, but this is what my dog has done to many an action figure. It just looked chewed on. You know, my daughter was like, "Oh, I'm going to put things in the fire," and this would be the action figure in the fire. It just, after a day in my house, this is what an action figure looks like. I did not know that they made this action figure. It's a little terrifying. How would do you like display this on your shelf? Do you have this on your shelf, Joseph?
I have it in my mountain of figures that go into rotating display.
It makes a statement, right? When someone comes over who's not necessarily a Star Wars fan and they see that, it's a real statement.
Ken, do you have the image of in the package of Anakin here?
Yeah.
So like
That's cool.
extra weird because it's before and after kind of.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure you'll give it in the stats, but is that like a robe and face you put on him, or is it just a 2-figure pack?
The whole thing. We'll get into the stats. We'll explain how it all works. So Jennifer is our resident parent. Do you find that disturbing that this exists for children to play with?
No, it can be useful of what not to do, leading to bad choices in your life. This is what can happen to you. No, I would never do that. But I have used Anakin as a cautionary tale. This to me feels like it's really more of a collector's item. I mean, maybe some kids are really wanting to get this. I mean, if you want to live out the whole saga, you can take them from point A to point B to point C. It's quite a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. Ken, how do you feel about Battle Damage Anakin?
I want this figure. I do. It's still one of those. I don't think this is for kids, even though this was made in a different era. This is like we've got to have this. I just remember those 2 9-year-olds behind me at the Center Amadome screaming during the Palpatine scene and screaming and being upset during this scene. So, especially that close up, so I can't imagine a kid on Christmas morning or whatever holiday, birthday, unwrapped it, and they're staring at, my nightmare. But because of that, I think I want it.
Yeah, absolutely. Mollie, how do you feel about Battle Damage Anakin?
I'm curious because I like that they went so far to show this much battle damage of Anakin, but he still has all of his legs.
Yeah.
Like that, was that going to be too much to sell him without the bottoms of his legs?
Here's the thing is, sorry, go ahead, Ken.
No, maybe it was cost effective to keep the legs off. That's an extra process to cut them off or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It is so you can act it out. They are removable. They're only on to show that he is capable of standing. But you can remove him for full injury.
Okay, I like
hilarious.
that. That's an extra added level of fun to be had.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not going to give you the arm.
No.
That one's long gone.
Yeah.
All right, Alex, how do you feel?
I had the exact same question that Mollie did. I was like, wait a minute, he's got his legs. It does take me back to, I remember being very excited when Bespin Luke came out in the Power of the Force line because you could take his hand off. Thought it was the coolest thing as like a 9-year-old. And then they started to do that with the Darth Vader figure from Return of the Jedi. You could take the top of his helmet off and the hand off. And then I remember when the Jango Fett figure came out, like, his head was magnetized, and I was like, this is a little much. So it reminds me of those, but the removable limbs, it does speak to something that I enjoyed about action figures as a kid. And I did go through that phase, not with my Star Wars figures, but with like G.I. Joes and stuff where, yeah, I shot them with BB guns. I set them on fire. I froze them. Like I did go through that kind of like sadistic phase with my action figures. So I there's part of this one that speaks to me.
I like that you just went through all the powers in the animated show Avatar and did them to your action figures. That's awesome. Yeah, I wanted to pick this one up back in 2005. I finally picked it up at Star Wars Celebration last year. When I was a kid, I had the battle damaged X-Wing that you could put like these stickers that showed it like burnt and it had taken shots. And I remember fantasizing as a kid of wanting battle damaged Bespin Luke. And then they finally put him out in Power of the Force. So the legacy of the term battle damage just made this one something I absolutely had to collect. And my favorite thing about this figure, Ken, if you can put him back up for a second, is that not only is Anakin horrifically damaged, but usually his eyes are painted kind of rolling into the back of his head. So he's got this vibe of like, oh, not again. What a bummer.
He just looks like he woke up early and that's it. Just,
Yo, Tom's Day, am I right? Totally that vibe. All right, so we talked about our feelings. Now we're going to get into some stats so we understand what the potential of these figures are. These come to us from the great website, galacticfigures.com. We'll go first to the Cloud Car Pilot. Here is the information. Cloud Car Pilot is from the toy line Vintage Kenner Empire Strikes Back, scale 3.75, released in the year 1981. Joint count is 5. He's got a swivel neck, 2 swivel shoulders, and 2 swivel hips. His accessories include a blaster, a communicator, and sadness. I added that third one. That is the basic information. Now, Galactic Figures usually has kind of a nice little breakdown, a nice little review of the figures. To be fair, I don't think they have reviews of any of the original Kenner figures, but it was really funny that Cloud Car Pilot has nothing. The only thing it says is, there was no biography or additional character information on the packaging, just to emphasize that the Cloud Car Pilot is entirely generic. Aw, poor Cloud Car Pilot.
That's
all right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ken.
It just says a lot about maybe what we expected from our figures back in 80, 81, right? Just like, we don't need a story. We'll make that up. He was on screen. We'll figure it out.
Right.
Yeah, no.
He does look like you should be able to customize him, like Jen said, like those bears that you could draw all over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to like put stickers on his outfit or like give him cool glitter pants or something. Just spice up his life a little bit.
Yeah. Now I'm going to buy a used one and ask you guys to decorate it for me.
It's like when you get blank Mighty Mugs back in the day, just the blank ones, you design your own. That's what Cloud Car Pilot is.
I've been designing a Converse shoe, and now I want to do that to Cloud Car Pilot too, online. Well, let's move on to the character who's already got a lot going on. It would still be fun with glitter, though. We're going to look at Anakin's stats. He is from the toy line, the Revenge of the Sith collection, scale 3.75, at least when he has his legs. Released the year 2005. His joint count is 7. He has a ball-jointed neck, 2 swivel shoulders, 2 swivel hips, and 2 swivel boots.
What?
I know, right? Does that sound like some disturbing musical? Swivel boots. So maybe you can take them off and break his legs by pointing them the wrong way? I don't know. The accessory details include blue lightsaber, plastic cloak, extra head, non-burnt, extra set of arms. We'll get into more details, but I have to ask the group: does anybody have an opinion about a non-burnt head being listed as an accessory?
I
just think it would look weird on top of the rest of the. Like, is he smiling? What's the regular head look like on that figure?
yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of it doesn't look like he's having a great day. He's still like angry. It's like, Mustafar era timeline, so it's but it's an accessory. Would you want him to just hold the head or what?
How do you just like pop it off? Do you pop the head off, or does it like actually more like a that thing. You know what I mean?
He's got an
Like
extra
on a
hole in
hinge.
there. Yeah, no.
Like a leg.
Yeah, these details I think explain it. They do a great job of going through it here on galacticfigures.com. So here's what they have to say. This Anakin Skywalker Battle Damage was released individually carded with himself. Hasbro included enough accessories in exchangeable body parts so that a regular Anakin Skywalker figure can be created as well. The name of the figure is misleading. It should be named Darth Vader.
Yeah.
The second set of arms and the head can be exchanged quite nicely. The lower leg's boots can be taken off the figure as well. The plastic cloak can be placed over the figure, which then hides the battle-damaged body. The figure stands well without help from a stand. It's pretty amazing that Hasbro released this figure with cut-off body parts and burnt flesh, considering that Star Wars figures are mainly aimed at children.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So I think you can take this other one that looks complete and like you can pop the head off and pop that head on and like drape this whole torso over the other torso.
Okay, that makes
I
sense.
see.
I wish you owned two, Joseph, because I think I'd make you open up the package right now and demonstrate what happens.
Absolutely.
You are all going to be witness in London at Star Wars Celebration when I buy another copy of this exact figure. Okay, so now we know our feelings about some of these figures. We know a lot about their stats. We're going to take into account their size, their outfits, their accessories like non-burnt heads, and we are going to talk how we think this figure fights goes. Let's figure fight. So, Ken, I want to start with you. Do you have a vision of how this fight goes? Who has the upper hand, or two hands, or three hands?
Because again, as we always say, it's the catchphrase around it. It's the figures, not the characters. I almost think these figures meet in a discarded bin in a kid's house where he was like, I ain't playing with these, and puts them away. And they run into each other there. That's where the fight begins.
Okay, so that's where you think the location happens. But tell me about the actual combat. Who do you think has? I keep saying an upper hand, and I keep amusing myself. Who do you think has an advantage?
I note your wordplay. I think it's Anakin Skywalker who feels he has nothing to lose. He's burnt. He's in multiple parts. He's not even sure about his head situation. He's got nothing to lose, and therefore he's a desperate man with full of anger.
Fair enough. Mollie, do you have a vision of which action figure has an advantage? Do you see the way this fight goes in your mind?
I now I can't stop imagining this poor cloud car pilot just having nothing to live for, and so that's why he picks a fight with Anakin.
It's just he wants to go out swinging. Is that it?
Yeah, he's like, I might as well. But Anakin, depending on, I guess, if Anakin has an arm that can grab, he can still use his lightsaber. So there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. He can put it in his melty hand or his good hand. He's got two options.
Yeah, and I assume he could still kind of use the Force to his best ability, even though he's in a lot of pain, probably.
I would think so. I think a lot of pain. He could hide it. He could put on his fake head and hide his burnt body, and just really psych the cloud car pilot out. Jennifer, how do you think this fight goes? Who do you think has an advantage?
Mollie made a good point. The cloud car pilot has nothing to lose. So that immediately puts me in a different headspace. I also have to say that the older action figures do hold up very, very well. They're quite sturdy. The problem with Anakin, even though he does have a lot of advantages because he has a totally different body, right? But for somebody to actually assemble that, it's going to take some time. So we can't pause the fight and be like, hold on, let me get my arm on, let me get my cloak and my new face on. So that's what's going to be a problem. Is time.
Time.
Yeah.
You've made time an ally of the cloud car pilot.
Alex, do you have a vision?
I think the cloud car pilot has the advantage because all of Anakin's limbs are removable. The cloud car pilot does not. I mean, I'm sure you could pull them off, but I think he could easily kick his two legs apart. He could pull his arms off. He could pull his head off. Like Anakin would literally just be a torso. I think the cloud car pilot has an advantage. But I did have a thought of Mollie trying to say, like, he could hold his lightsaber. I'm imagining these swivel boots probably go on and off with like a peg of some kind.
Yeah.
So there's potential for the lightsaber to insert into one of the leg holes, and then he could have a little like kicky lightsaber leg if he's hopping around.
Like
I'm all for full pirate Skywalker. Ken, what are your thoughts on Pirate Skywalker?
I love that. He's like a Robert Rodriguez character in City 5 or something like that. I could get behind that. I love Mollie painting the picture of Cloud Car Pilot just shucks in his way through life, and maybe that's why this starts. But I think Cloud Car Pilot would not fully know what to expect once a fully lightsaber legged Anakin's coming crawling at him.
Yeah, I think that maybe my bias, but I think the Cloud Car Pilot does have some things going for him. He's got a blaster. He's not without weapons, and he has plenty of targets. He can easily keep shooting off Anakin's limbs. Anakin, for some reason, has stuck his lightsaber up his leg. Probably not as good at deflecting. So the Cloud Car Pilot can just keep blasting his head off, his limbs off. Yeah. It's not pretty. The other thing I think that the Cloud Car Pilot's really got going for him is a massive battering ram of a helmet.
Yeah.
He has a chunky helmet with sharp edges that he can just drive into horribly burnt flesh.
It's a little Ram Man from He-Man. He just doesn't have the torso with spring action. But yeah, if he gets a good run and start, leaps at you, leads with the helmet, he could take that head off.
That is the origin of Ram Man. Somebody just stepped on the Cloud Car Pilot, and you get Ram Man. Jennifer, do you think I'm way off base that the Cloud Car Pilot has a chance here?
No, he's now the front runner for me. Is that the helmet is not detachable, right? It's attached.
No,
so then,
no.
That's it.
Yeah, 1981. You got what you got.
Exactly. One solid action figure, and I see those pegs as a real disadvantage for Anakin because if they somehow get snapped off, forget it. Then you have no legs, and we're going to be recreating the scene from Revenge of the Sith.
Just with a supercut of Cloud Car Pilot staring down at him.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, Cloud Car Pilot, by definition, should be able to get the high ground by getting into a cloud car. He doesn't have that accessory, so I don't want to give that to him. Ken, are you at all swayed by the cloud car? Do you think the Cloud Car Pilot has a chance, or are you still pro Anakin?
I'm asking you this almost like approaching the bench, Your Honor. Does the card back factor at all into the fight? Is that count at all? Because if Cloud Car Pilot was able to show this as a picture, Anakin might take pity on him. Be like, you're alone in the world too, just like me. I'm in this glass cage of emotion, and so are you. And maybe you can use it enough to distract Anakin just enough to get a final shot in or next attack.
I like that they try to disarm one another with their own pain. I can see that. Yeah. I can see that. I think an advantage that maybe Anakin does have is embracing a head as an accessory, and maybe he is able to pick up this entire extra cloaked body and just bash the Cloud Car Pilot with his own head.
With the extra body.
That's what I thought too. I was like, he could throw all of his body limbs at this guy and just completely confuse him, and he would just be so freaked out.
Like a decoy.
Yeah, like he would just be
decoy
like
body. Yeah,
he would accidentally catch Anakin's other head and be like, "What do I do with this?"
I love this vision that he is that the legs are off, he's lying on the floor, but the hand is reaching out, and instead of throwing machinery at Luke and Bespin, he is throwing his own limbs at Cloud Car Pilot.
Does the Anakin action figure have the Force? Does that factor into the fight?
Well, I think we can decide if we feel that is an important part of the fight. It can be so.
Look,
yeah. I'm trying to think of them just as action figures at this point now.
I mean, look at that. That goes straight to your soul. That's a real.
Who's to say he's not Force sensitive?
It's true. We know nothing about him.
I think in Legends he was Claudius Pilat, and he was.
Oh my goodness.
It was only his force abilities that made those warning shots avoid the Falcon and not actually hit it. Amazing. All right. Does anybody else have any thoughts about the Cloud Car Pilot's communicator? This makes him very different. A few Kenner figures had a pre-bent limb.
Yeah.
And the communicator as an accessory was really rare. I don't think there's any draft of Empire Strikes Back that I don't know about where that was a really pivotal thing where a Cloud Car pilot used a hand communicator like they were in Star Trek, or if the figure makers looked at this guy and went, he's so damn boring, we at least have to give him an accessory nobody has.
Right.
So thoughts, if communicator can help at all, anybody jump in.
Could he call in air support from other Cloud Car pilots?
Oh.
Ooh, other
Yeah.
lonely
Is that
figures?
against the rules of the figure fight?
No, he's got to call somebody.
His pilot mate, whoever the other guy that flies with him, he's got to be loyal to him. I would assume. I'd hope.
What I love about this is Alex and Mollie are suggesting, Joseph, that the collector of these figures was a army builder of Cloud Car pilots. And they asked their parents, "Hey, could you please get me 2? Because I need 2." And I like that. That's respect.
Hasbro is currently putting out those build your troops and you'll get like 7 shore troopers and things like that.
Yeah,
I
right.
hope that they do like a HasLab to be like, you can get 23 Cloud Car pilots, and then you'll still be like, oh, I need 1 more to make it even. That's amazing. Any other communicator thoughts, Jennifer?
The only thing would be using it as a weapon, right? But it's really, he's just going to throw it. Then what? Then Anakin throws his limbs or his other head or his cloak, and that's it. So he's really outnumbered. If he throws
Cloud
one
Car
thing.
pilot has one opportunity to throw that Nokia brick of a phone at Anakin. If he misses, he misses. You're done.
He's got to really make it count.
Now, if Anakin has taken his legs off, he could jam the blaster straight up the leg and fire into Anakin's body.
Wow. That's like that Robert Rodriguez movie, right?
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This is a total Robert Rodriguez episode of Figure Fights.
So in your head right now, Joseph, you were imagining a blaster and a lightsaber in his limbs as he flails on his back trying to shoot? How does that work?
Yeah, I think so. I think that both figures have fallen over at this point, and it's a desperate leg battle. It's leg day here on Figure Fights. I think
It's like when you do the kick and fight. Yeah.
All right. Any other thoughts before we go to our final summation? I'm going to ask for each of you to have an argument, your final argument of who wins and why. You can paint a picture if you want. Is everybody ready to go to that final step?
I think so.
Yeah.
Excellent. Jennifer, I'd like to start with you. Who do you ultimately vote for and why?
I believe is Cloud Car pilot. I think the problem is that if Anakin had initially started in his cloak and all that, that would have offered him some layer of protection. But because he's starting off like this, as burnt Anakin, then trying to assemble himself is going to cause some problems. It's going to cause some delays. He's more likely to be injured. And Cloud Car pilot, as Mollie said, has nothing to lose. He is without his mate. He has no color. He is very neutral looking. So he has nothing to lose.
I love this. This is amazing. I like that you're painting the portrait of this battle damage Anakin Skywalker is too cocky. And he's like, you underestimate my power. And then he starts taking his legs off. All right. Alex, who do you vote for and why?
I also vote for Cloud Car pilot. I've never seen the Anakin figure outside of the packaging, but I have to imagine that as a kid, I would have taken those limbs on and off several times. I think they're going to be easily removed by anyone at this point. So I think Cloud Car pilot blasts off legs. Anakin's not at his best at this point, even if he has the Force. I think he's going down just the same way he did on Mustafar. And I don't think Cloud Car pilot would show mercy like Obi-Wan Kenobi. There is no mercy behind those orange goggles. I think he finishes the job.
Look at that guy.
Wow. Powerful. Ken, where do you go? Who do you vote for and why?
I'll tell you, I came in I came in thinking Anakin, and that's not how you should approach this show. You gotta let the fight guide you. And I like what Alex just said there at the end. Look at those eyes. This is a guy who is in his crisp, clean, blank uniform, ready for glitter pants, but he's sharp and he takes it seriously as he should. He's got to protect Bespin, and Anakin is anything but organized and clean and crisp right now. He's crisp, but in another way. And
well done.
I like Jennifer's point too of like Anakin. This is an emotional fight of can you rebuild your broken self, and Anakin. The figure and the character is not in a position to do that with enough speed to win this fight. I think in the end I go glitter pants Claudius Pilate.
Yep, the force is with him and the goggles. I will share my thoughts and we'll go to Mollie for the big finale here. I think this is a tale of loneliness. I think at one point they're maybe tempted to see the best in each other. Here is Anakin. He feels alone. The cloud car pilot also feels alone. But the cloud car pilot is ultimately spurred to horrific violence when he realizes a cloud car pilot, who by definition should be packaged with a friend, is looking at this selfish man who comes packaged with himself. The ego, the irony. And I think he blasts, he shoots, he fights. I think he gets the clouds to part. Bright sun comes out. He has goggles. I think that blue is just going to make the sunlight worse in Anakin's eyes. Cloud car pilot defeats Anakin and then wears Anakin's extra head as his own.
Oh, wow.
God.
Wow.
It's like on top of the helmet. Is it like that orc from Return of the King that has like a skull on top of his own head?
He learned it from the Ewoks. Wear your defeated enemies as a hat. Well, Mollie, so far we have 4 votes for Cloud Car Pilot, but we do need to hear if it's a clean sweep or if you are going for Anakin. What are your thoughts and why?
I think I gotta go Cloud Car Pilot too, because like what Alex said, if I've got that battle damaged Anakin, I'm probably storing him without the legs just because I want it to be as screen accurate as possible. So it already he's at a disadvantage. And Cloud Car Pilot's helmet he looks like he's built like a tank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's a cardboard.
He could take a lot of damage. And does he in fact have eyes under the goggles, or is it just the goggles?
Oh no, he's nothing but thick plastic behind those in reality.
Yeah, he there's no emotion behind those goggles whatsoever.
If there were a visual guide, it would have like a line pointing to the goggles that says like orange goggles hide the eyes of a killer.
Yes.
Exactly.
Oh, I want a visual dictionary now for the action figures written by you, Alex.
Wow.
Oh.
That is it then. Our victor today is the Cloud Car Pilot.
Ooh, that was unexpected.
That
Absolute upset, right?
His life has
Chosen one,
meaning
my
now.
Yes.
Chosen one, my ass. The first line of dialogue from the Cloud Car Pilot action figure. Thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you for your wonderful insights on these action figures. We don't want to just be about violence, though. We want to learn something. So, Alex, I want to ask you, what, if anything, do you feel we learned today? What might be the moral of this figure fight?
I think Han was too flippant when he was talking to the Cloud Car Pilots in The Empire Strikes Back. He should have been acting with a little more respect, a little more carefully, because they could have blown him out of the sky with no remorse.
Respect the Cloud Car Pilot. That's a great moral. Mollie, do you have an idea for a moral of this episode?
Even if you have 2 heads, you can still lose.
That's something I've needed to hear for a long time, so I'm glad we're focusing on it. Jennifer, I want to be sure to get your moral because you're not going to be able to join us for the next couple episodes. So what do you think is the moral of Cloud Car Pilot versus Battle Damage Anakin Skywalker?
That just because you're feeling alone, you can find your own inner strength and take down the chosen one. Don't know what that means. But do we
find a chosen one
Star
and
Wars?
take them down today. A great moral. That is Figure Fights. Feel free to let us know, audience, your pick to win this extremely low-stakes imaginary battle, because as Luke Skywalker once said, well, no one was really listening to him. I care. That's it for Figure Fights.
Thanks for watching ForceCenter. To follow us on Twitter, reach out at ForceCenter Pod. We're on Hive Social at ForceCenter. On Instagram, we are at ForceCenter Pod. Our Facebook page is ForceCenter Podcast. The podcast is available in a lot of different spots like Acast, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and more. Just search, you'll find us. Want ForceCenter merch? Go to tpublic.com/user/ForceCenter. Want to support us directly? You can at patreon.com/ForceCenter. For social links for the hosts and guests of ForceCenter, check the links in the description below. That's it for now. We'll see you next time here on ForceCenter.